The question of whether life could re-emerge on Earth is not just a scientific one, it's also a philosophical and ethical one. The idea that life might never re-emerge raises profound questions about the nature of existence, the value of life, and our responsibilities as stewards of the planet. Life on Earth is the only known example of life in the universe. If life were to disappear, it might never re-emerge, making Earth a lifeless planet in a lifeless universe. This raises questions about the uniqueness of life and its value. Is life a rare and precious phenomenon that should be protected at all costs? Or is it an inevitable outcome of the laws of physics and chemistry, destined to arise wherever the conditions are right? The idea that life might never re-emerge if it were to disappear raises ethical questions about our responsibilities as stewards of the planet. If human activity is causing the extinction of species and the degradation of ecosystems, do we have a moral obligation to prevent this? What responsibilities do we have to future generations who might inherit a planet devoid of life? If life were to disappear and never re-emerge, it would raise profound questions about the meaning of life and existence. What does it mean to be alive in a universe where life is a rare and fragile phenomenon? How should we live our lives in light of the possibility that life might be a one-time occurrence in the history of the universe? The role of humanity in the universe. The question of whether life could re-emerge on Earth also raises questions about humanity's role in the universe. Are we merely one species among many, or do we have a special role to play in the preservation and continuation of life? If life is a rare and precious phenomenon, does humanity have a responsibility to protect it, both on Earth and potentially on other planets? The limits of human knowledge. Finally, the question of whether life could re-emerge on Earth forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge. While we have made great strides in understanding the origins of life and the conditions necessary for its existence, there is still much we don't know. The idea that life might never re-emerge if it were to disappear serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the uncertainty of our place in the universe. Part 6. The future of life on Earth. So, what does the future hold for life on Earth? While it's impossible to predict with certainty, there are several scenarios that could play out, each with different implications for the possibility of life re-emerging if it were to disappear. In this scenario, life on Earth continues to thrive, adapting to changing conditions and evolving into new forms. Human activity is managed in a way that minimizes harm to the environment, allowing ecosystems to recover and biodiversity to be preserved. In this scenario, life could continue for millions or even billions of years, and the question of whether life could re-emerge is rendered moot. Scenario 2. The gradual decline of life. In this scenario, life on Earth continues for a time but gradually declines as environmental conditions deteriorate. Species go extinct, ecosystems collapse, and the biosphere becomes less diverse and less resilient. Eventually, life on Earth could disappear entirely, and the question of whether it could re-emerge becomes relevant. Scenario 3. The sudden extinction of life. In this scenario, life on Earth is wiped out suddenly by a catastrophic event, such as an asteroid impact, a supervolcanic eruption, or a nuclear war. The planet's environment is devastated and life is unable to recover. In this scenario, the question of whether life could re-emerge is central, as the conditions necessary for life might no longer exist. Scenario 4. The transformation of life. In this scenario, life on Earth is transformed by technology or genetic engineering. New forms of life are created, potentially replacing natural life forms. In this scenario, the question of whether life could re-emerge is complicated by the presence of artificial or synthetic life, which might outcompete or replace natural life. Scenario 5. The colonization of other planets. In this scenario, humanity spreads life beyond Earth, colonizing other planets and potentially creating new ecosystems. If life were to disappear on Earth, it might still exist elsewhere in the universe, making the question of whether life could re-emerge on Earth less relevant. Each of these scenarios has different implications for the future of life on Earth and the possibility of life re-emerging if it were to disappear. But one thing is clear: the future of life on Earth is uncertain, and the possibility that life might never re-emerge if it were to disappear is a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of protecting it.